Hello and welcome to the Archetype Barbershop. Today in our chair we have Vinny, one of my regular customers. So how are you doing today?
Dude, no complaints at all.
Yeah?
No complaints.
Is that your eye, bro? Or
Dude.
is that, oh no, that's your hair. Okay.
I was going to say.
All right.
I know I'm bushly, but not that bad.
Right? All right, so we're doing the regular haircut today.
Yes, sir.
All right. So last time I know we talked, I wanted to hear about your wife and how you met her and that whole process.
Yeah.
And so tell me when, I guess we'll start off with the first time you ever saw her.
Yeah. So it's kind of like one of those, I guess you want to consider it like a fairy tale type of situations. I was at work. I had been working there with my cousin for some time. And this was a pizzeria back in New York. We're obviously in San Diego, California now.
Mm-hmm.
And we were at the time looking to expand to a secondary restaurant. And we started opening some applications for some wait staff because the second restaurant was going to be more of a sit down than a pizzeria style. And one of the days that we had some interviewees in, that was the first time that I saw her. She, walked through the door, instantly caught my eye. She's a cute little brunette with really pretty eyes and a nice caboose on her, which is the thing that definitely sold it for me.
Right.
And I honestly, it was funny because my cousin and I at the time, we literally both were like, holy shit, like look at this girl just walked in.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes to the back of the restaurant. She's meeting with our manager, James. And the entire time, we literally just, not creepily, but we continue to talk about her like, damn, this girl's cute.
It was creepily.
Horrible.
That's funny.
Yeah, man. When I first, saw my wife, again, that initial feeling of, hey, we are, as much as that movie Shallow Hal kind of makes fun of everyone being so, attracted to people will look like and things like that. That's the initial attraction. That's what starts the chemistry.
Exactly.
But you need something that's going to hold it past that, which is the personality and the conversations you have. We also, as a restaurant, the crew, we would constantly go and do things together, whether it was going to a bar or going to the movies or whatever the hell it was. So there was a bunch of times where we were all together, which kind of allowed me to kind of get to know her a little bit more as well.
Right.
And now we have the opportunity to start hanging out on our own, which was kind of funny because there's 2 points that I later found out in my, after some time, that I was she must have really kind of been into me. Otherwise, she would have never made the efforts. So I'm a morning guy. I'm up the crack of dawn. I've always been that way. And I had kind of made the recommendation because I usually had to get to the restaurant by about 9:30, 10 o'clock to turn the ovens on and everything and start doing the prep work.
Oh, at the pizzeria.
Yeah. Whereas she didn't come in till later in the day. So I was let's grab breakfast together. I was maybe meet up at the bagel shop 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I had recommended one that was closer to my place than her. She lived on the South Shore of Long Island. I lived on the North Shore of Long Island.
Okay, yeah.
So she willingly accepted, and it went really, really well. And then later in our relationship, I had kind of found out how much she hates the mornings. Yeah, man. Even to this day, it's kind of hard to get her up in the morning. Even this morning, I was up at 5 to 5. Yeah. And I roll out of bed and she's like, "Are you really getting up right now?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." She's like, "All right." She's like, "I need another 20 minutes." And I was like, "You're lying." I was like, "Your 20 minutes is going to at least turn into another hour." Right. So it never stopped. And this is 10 years later, which is awesome.
Yeah, some people just aren't morning people.
Yeah. So that was one of the first times we got together, which was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Got to get some alone time with her. Pretty much just want to know what she was like outside of a group setting.
Right. In that, because normally, from my past experience, when you know it's somebody that actually has the potential to have a relationship with, you get that sense of when you're around them, you feel I guess the best way to put it is home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're comfortable.
Right.
You don't feel like you have, and not that you don't want to say try, because you always want to, put in effort with relationships.
Right.
But it doesn't feel like you're constantly on stage. You're not having to put on this facade all the time and go. You should eventually have some type of comfort with that person because they're going to be there through thick and thin. So
yeah. So when was that moment where you realized that's how you felt around her?
Yeah. So I think so. One of the second times we got together, we went down to her neighborhood, and I forgot where we grabbed dinner, but I do know for dessert I love Italian ices, and one of my one of the chain spots that are back on Long Island called Ralph's. They had a shop over in her town, and her town's kind of like a little bit smaller, like a nice quaint main street. You can walk down it, so on and so forth, and see the different shops. So when we had gotten into town, we got some ices, and then the afterthought is we were going to head back to her place. And she still lived at home with her mother and her older brother, and we went back to her place, and this was kind of one of those times, like, everything's going super well. And it was, I guess, one of the times that I had to actually question, like, okay, like, do I want to stick this out, or am I in too deep type of ordeal? So fast forward, night's going great. Got to meet her brother. Her mother was at work, but so we're hanging out up in her room, and all of a sudden we start hearing some type of like ticking sound. And I come to find out that her ex-boyfriend that she broke up with was throwing rocks at her window to get her attention.
This is your second date?
This is pretty much like our second like get-together outside of like hanging out in groups and things of that nature, and going down to her town.
Yeah.
So she's like super apologetic. She's like, I have no clue why he's here, da-da-da-da. And he like is yelling up to the window now, telling her to come down. And I was like, shit. I was like, what am I getting myself into? Like, she just got some crazy old baggage that I'm gonna have to deal with now.
Right.
But at that moment was kind of like when I had realized, like, I was like, you kind of have to, decide. Like, she's pretty, she's intelligent, she comes from a good family. Like, there was so many other things that outweighed some of the craziness of the past.
Right.
And she was like genuine with her like apology and like embarrassed of her ex.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like she was trying to get away from that type of past, where I was like, all right, like, this is clearly not something she's happy with, and she does want to change.
Right.
So I'd say that was probably like the moment, because again, him yelling and stuff of that nature, she goes down and starts like telling him to get out of here, da-da-da. And her older brother eventually follows her downstairs as well and tells him to like get the hell out of here, like, you're not welcome here, da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And I kind of figured it out. I was like, what was different this time versus other times? And I think what wound up setting the guy off is the fact that my car was in the driveway.
Oh,
so he knew something was kind of up.
Right.
So, yeah, at that point I was kind of like, all right, like, if I'm going to stick around, I'm going to stick around. Like, it's just a matter of, at this point, maybe not hang out in her town as much as mine, just to avoid some of the craziness of her past.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, after you guys started hanging out for a little bit and stuff, when did it become official?
Oh, gosh. You want that story? Official in terms of dating, or official in terms of engaged? How far do you want to go?
No, like official, like as far as like, okay, you're my girlfriend, and I'm your boy.
Oh, that's a great one. So, I was living in New York after college. My mother and stepfather went down to Florida, so I would go visit them every once in a while. And my wife's father, he just retired, but he worked for the airline, so she was able to fly for free pretty easily. Cool. So I'd said to her, I was like, if you're interested, I was like, I'm going to be heading down to Florida. I'm going to go see my parents. I was like, I know you really enjoy the South. She went to school in South Carolina for a little bit before she transferred back to New York. I was like, you're welcome to come. I was like, I'll be gone for, a couple days, whatever. And she willingly accepted. I was like, all right, cool. Like, there's literally no titles to anything yet. And she's just like, sure, whatever. And we get down there. We're having a good time, and one of the first nights we're heading out to dinner, my pops is in the front seat driving, my mom's in the passenger seat, me and my wife in the back seat, and my mom, who is always outspoken, she decides to ask. She's like, so, like she more or less wanted to know because like Facebook was kind of popular at the time. She's like, so you guys aren't Facebook official. She's like, are you guys dating?
Yeah.
And she was saying this more or less to my wife, and I was like, oh shit.
And so your mom, dad, and you and her are in the car.
Yep.
Okay.
And so my mom's looking at my wife. I literally caught my dad's like side eye in the rearview mirror, and my wife literally responds with, "Well," she's like, "He never asked me out." And then my mom looks to me. She's like, "You never asked her out." She's like, "Are you an idiot?" And I didn't know what to respond, so she pretty much looks back to my wife, and she's like, "So will you date my son then?"
No way. Yeah. No. So your mom asked
my wife out. Yeah.
For you. Yeah. Wow.
So literally, that's when my pops literally just shook his head and looked to the left like he was like, shit, you're like, screwed now. Oh gosh.
That is funny.
Yeah, man. And my wife like literally just like smiles and she says, of course I want to date your son.
That's awesome. I mean, that's crazy. I've never heard of that happening before, but that's awesome.
Yeah.
She said yes. That is really big. So you guys started dating from then on?
Yeah, I mean, nothing changed but the title for what it's completely worth.
Right.
And that's the best part about it is, like, as we continued to spend time together and the relationship progressed, like, the initial, lust turned to love. The different dynamics of the relationship kind of, changed with, so like I was saying, she went to school in the South for a little bit and then transferred back up to New York. So her school was on the North Shore, so I kind of started at that point. I was like, hey, you're welcome to stay up here a couple of nights a week, like, so you're not driving from the South to come to the North.
Yeah.
So, like, it progressed in that sense, but nothing changed in terms of, like, the playfulness or the fun that we would have together. It just got better and better and better from that point, which is, like, what was awesome.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Which eventually wound up leading to, the
her
engagement.
Her stuff being in your apartment?
Oh, of course. Her stuff just taking over my apartment. It was barely. It went from a man cave to, like, dude, this is like a she shed. Like, I no longer live here, right? Oh, gosh.
That's funny. So, now to the point where you are going to propose to her.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah, so like I said, things continued to just get better. Mm-hmm. And seeing friends' relationships, whether it be my cousin or, like I said, with him going on and off, my other best friend Mike, who, he was in a long-term relationship. They broke up for a little bit in college, but they got back together. Mm-hmm. I never saw any of those downsides, I guess I want to say. So we had dated for about 2.5 years, and then at that point, we were getting close to the 3-year anniversary, and I realized like I gotta shit or get off the pot in terms of like she's not gonna. In my mind, I was like, she's not gonna stick around. Like, she's too good. Then I'm gonna wind up losing her if I don't wind up doing something to keep her around.
Yeah.
So I had started to put a plan together. I told a couple of close friends, and so where we lived on Long Island again. We were staying primarily on the North Shore at this point. She was pretty much, living with me. And we would always go to this town called Port Jeff. And it's like a little town down by the water. The ferry comes in and out of there. There's a bunch of boats, so on and so forth.
Okay.
And we would go down there for like ice cream dinner, whatever. And then the docks, like you'd go sit out on the dock or the pier, whatever you want to consider it. And we would catch sunsets. One place we really enjoyed going was just past this little town. It's called Pirates Cove. It's where boats would go to hang out. It's a little inlet. It's hard to kind of get to because it's in like this rich neighborhood. So you either have to walk the beach the entire way down, or you go through the neighborhood and then you can traverse down some sand dunes, and then you're in Pirates Cove.
Okay.
So I thought it was only fitting, considering we both liked the spot so much, that I put a plan together to include Pirates Cove. So we're coming off of winter, because we wound up getting engaged over Memorial Day. So I was like, all right, like if I'm going to put a plan together, like it's going to take some time. Mm-hmm. So I had proposed over the winter time that we buy mountain bikes and, start riding around on the not snowy days so that we could eventually take a ride through Port Jeff into Belterre, which is that bougie little town.
Okay, to like build up your stamina and stuff.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because although Long Island is flat, unlike San Diego, which has mountains everywhere, the hill on Long Island was still a pain in the ass to get up. So fast forward, bought the bikes, doing a couple of rides here and there, and it's eventually getting to May so that we could, so I could pull my plan off.
Right.
And we, day of, because this part's the best part about it, day of, she's excited. I'm like, it's Memorial Day weekend. Like, well, listen, we'll take a trip into Port Jeff. We'll ride our bikes up the mountain. I was like, we'll cruise through Belterre, and then we'll go hang out at Pirates Cove. I'm like, there'll probably be plenty of boats in the Cove because it's Memorial Day weekend.
Right, right.
So we're there. Everything's going well. It's the morning. She's agreed to getting up a little bit earlier at this point. And we start riding our bikes up said hill. And we're like a quarter of the way up. She's going slow, but she's moving along. We're like halfway up, and now she's starting to like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make this. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, you're making this shit. Right. I was like, I got a whole damn plan.
Right, exactly.
She's still pedaling along, and now we're like, 2/3 of the way up, and she's like, I think I'm gonna turn around. She's like, this is way too much. She's like, I don't think we did enough. And I was like, no. I was like, we'll be good. I was like, we're almost there. I was like, we're 2/3 of the way. I was like, there's only a little bit left to go, and then like driving through Belterre or riding through Belterre, it's flat, it's relaxing. I was like, it'll be really, really enjoyable.
Yeah.
Dude, at this point, I'm like, shit. I was like, everything's going out the window.
Right.
Like, everything that I had kind of just like put together is now just going to be a shit show. Everyone else kind of knows it's happening today too, so everyone's kind of waiting for a phone call. And I'm kind of panicking, so I became like her biggest cheerleader, and I was like, come on, like, you're doing good. I was like, you're right there. And dude, like that last, like, and mind you, this hill's not very far. Like, it's maybe a mile or two at most, and on a bike that's not terribly long.
Right.
And then when we finally got to the top, man, like, with the amount of times that she like wanted to stop, got off, walked a little bit, got her back on her bike, finally got to the top, it was such a reprieve, man. I was like, God damn, I was like, thank you.
Yeah. Man,
so yeah,
and it was only 1.5 miles on bike ride.
I'd probably say, yeah, I can't imagine being much longer than that. Like, I didn't track it or anything of that nature,
but around that.
Yeah.
So you guys get up there.
Get up there. We're riding through Belterre now. Everything's really, really nice. She's enjoying it at this point, and now we're getting over to the end of Belterre so we can get down the sand dunes to get to Pirates Cove. And this part's funny. She's done it before. She's gone down the sand dunes before, but dude, she's great. We hike a bunch now, but she is just not very good with height. She's not very good with like coordination sometimes, and I swear, like, she's great.
Yeah.
But it was funny as all hell because you could walk down these sand dunes. I like stand up and walk down these sand dunes all the time. She's like constantly like her legs far out, her arms sprawled out, like she's like going down crab walking this thing, like butt sliding on it. And at this point, like, it's funny. Like, I know she's going to get down, but I was like, this is just too much.
She looked like Bambi.
Oh, bro. Dead ass. Baby Bambi just coming out of her mother's womb. She can't stand nothing at all.
That's funny.
But then we get down to the bottom, and my wife's got a thing for anytime we're, like, on the beach or a hike. Like, she always likes to try to pick up some type of, like, memento. She loves, like, soft rocks or, like, pretty shells. I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah.
So this part was kind of improvised because I was like, all right, like, shit, like, how am I going to actually do this now? Like, we're here, it's going to happen, so on and so forth. So we're sitting down on the beach, and I'm handing her a couple of rocks here and there, and I'm like, oh, what do you think of this one? Like, get her to check it out, see if she likes it or not. And after, like, 2 or 3 of those, I usually wouldn't give her that many, and I was like, shit, like, so I finally reached into my bag after, like, the 3rd or 4th one, and I was like, hey, what do you think of this rock? And then I show her the ring. And then, dude, instantly, like, her eyes lit up. Like, she was like, oh, my God. And then it was, like, an instant, like, waterworks. And, like, oh, my God, yes, 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 yes. Like, one of those type of situations. And it couldn't have gone any better from that point. And
Wow.
I think it kind of also goes to, again, finding out afterwards. Dude, she had no clue it was going to happen. She was in no rush to get engaged, no rush to get married. Like, and here I am thinking, like, dude, I got to shit or get up the pot. Yeah, 100%. So, like, that's like kind of the best part, because I guess a lot of women expect it at some point, where she was not that type. It was awesome.
So, I remember you sharing a story, which I think is amazing, about your guys' trip. You guys are married now.
Yeah. I think I know which one you're talking about, in Hawaii, right?
Yes. For people that subscribe to this channel, that it's a great story. So it's a short story, but it's a great story.
100%. So fast forward, got married, moved to California. We enjoy traveling a bunch, so we always try to take 1 or 2 good trips a year, someplace far, opposed to like just local spots. Yeah. So this was Christmas 2 years ago. We decided to go to Hawaii, and we did it with a cruise line. So we got to see a bunch of different islands, which was awesome. And when we found out that we were going to Kauai, that is where Jurassic Park was filmed, and then the Nepali coast is there and everything. Everyone's like, "Oh, you got to do the helicopter tour. You got to do the helicopter tour." We're like, "All right, awesome." We wound up getting 2 days on Kauai. And the first day is like a full day, and the second day is like a half day, and then we wind up leaving a little bit early so that the boat can take us past the Nepali coast. So we're like, all right, what we'll wind up doing is we will do both on the first day. Like we were going to wind up doing a river hike. Well, I'm sorry, it was a river tour. So
you guys had a whole bunch of things planned.
Yeah, a whole bunch of things planned for the first day, and then the second day we figured we'd just chill, and then it would leave early. So as everything's kind of set, like we're gonna do the hike, and then after the hike, we're gonna jump on the helicopter for like this tail end of the day, and then head back to the boat. And as it's getting closer, like we're like, like maybe we shouldn't have everything so jumbled up into one day. Like maybe we'll just spread it out. And this was kind of like a last like impulsive change, because we were like, screw it. Like there's no reason to keep everything together. So day 1, we do our hike. Everything's cool. It was kind of nice because we knew that we now had time to relax and we didn't have to run over to a helicopter, and we headed back to the boat. Then the next morning, for the half day, we had to get up early, head over to the helipad, and start, getting to the tour. So at this point, I turned on my phone in the morning, and some news had came in, and this was creepy as all hell. That apparently one of the helicopter tours didn't make it back from the day before. And they don't really have too much news on it just yet. Like, they have just exactly that. We don't know if anything kind of happened. So then we get to the helicopter place, more news is kind of breaking that the tour didn't return from the night before. And it's a possibility that the helicopter actually crashed. So now we're there, we're freaking out. We've never been on a helicopter before, and we're about to like literally get into the helicopter, and so we wind up going up. No true news yet, but as we're up there, we start seeing the Coast Guard out, some local PD, like they're searching for this helicopter. Yeah. And mind you, I think the thing, and kind of get to it a little bit quicker, is we realized that had we not changed our helicopter plans, it would have been the tour that we would have been on. The one that at this point was missing. Yeah. So we get back from the tour. We got to see everything. It was beautiful. Minus, like I said, seeing all the Coast Guard and everyone out searching for this helicopter. Right. But we wound up finding out that the helicopter did crash due to low visibility into the side of the mountain. And all 7 people on board perished. So at that point, we kind of got back. It's creepy. Like at the house, I told you this before too, we saved the tickets to our helicopter tour because it's literally such a simple decision that could have changed everything. Yeah, exactly. Or I should say, ended everything. Yeah, exactly. That's crazy. Yeah, so that is crazy. And so you were telling me that your wife keeps it up there on your mirror in your room to kind of like a reminder. Yeah. That
tomorrow's not promised.
Tomorrow's definitely not promised. Yeah, it's there. It's in our bathroom. So anytime we go in and out, you have to see it. It's a constant reminder, which is
right.
It's kind of good because I do feel like people get lost in it every once in a while. And I think, as well as everything is going, finding, a girl that is great, that we, both love each other, that we both have the same quest to, explore and, move to the West Coast, and everything could have gone so differently, or everything could have ended even though everything was going so good.
Right.
So
that is awesome. Well, I really appreciate you sharing those stories with us today. If you guys like the story, we got plenty more coming, so please like and subscribe so you can get notified when the next video comes up, okay? Appreciate it. And if you guys have any questions or anything like that about the haircuts or anything barbering, go ahead and leave a comment as well, and I will get back to you and try to answer those for you guys, okay? So push like, subscribe, and thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Vinny, for your story.
Of course, later on.